Okay.
Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Travis and Blake's Drunken Horror Adventures. Although I'm drunk, Blake's probably sober. And
I'm drinking.
Look at that. I'm proud of you. And we have a special guest on the line who I'll let you intro in here, buddy.
Okay, well, I'll intro in a man who truly needs no introduction. And just to warn anybody, and everybody, he has no inside voice, so it's about to be really loud. But this is the great Mick Strawn, who has been on this show two or three other times about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, and then also he called in and talked about the Toby Hooper stuff.
Great Mick Strawn? Oh, boy.
Yes, the great Mick Strawn, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that I need an Infinity Wars chin to be great, to be truly great, Well,
I don't know. I think that behind the screens, the Dream Masters revealed is a very close second to Infinity War.
I mean, for a book and all, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, Mick has done some of the best films in the business and production design on, you name it, he's done it. Boogie Nights, Mortal Kombat, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4. He worked some on Nightmare 5. He did one season of the television series. Mantis, the Fantastic Four Roger Corman movie that never saw the light of day, which is unfortunate, and several other great, great films. One of my favorites is Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. Although it's not horror, it's hilarious.
No, that movie's awesome.
Yeah.
So just because, the main topic for him is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, I do have to mention, and I know I've mentioned it before, I don't have the poster anymore, which is sad, but I grew up with a large Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 poster on my wall in my bedroom. So
really?
I've always had a connection to that movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people, I discovered this. Nightmare on Elm Street truly depends on which one you saw first. That's going to be your horror touchstone, and I think that kind of goes with a lot of horror films. If I can get philosophical here as it is, you never forget your first love, especially if your first love is a maniacal killer that comes and kills children in their sleep. With a face like a rotten pizza pie. Yeah, let's not forget that. This is a special bond that you need to nurture and cherish through into old age.
I agree.
Don't you think?
Yeah,
indeed.
So anyway, here we are. We are working on. I have been doing interviews. I'm not kidding. For 4 months, I'm doing interviews for Behind the Screens, which is about the making of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which I'm going to write a book. We're going to do a book about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, but I think that 4. These are two films that look similar and they have a similar feel to them, but the making of them, in particular, the making of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was just an absolute trip. I mean, it was special in so many ways, including it was special, and there were many ways that was little but special too. Can you say little but special these days?
I don't think
you can
Travis
say whatever
gives
you want on this show.
I don't think Travis gives a shit.
Blake, that's pretty much my philosophy in life.
Well, yeah, Travis doesn't give a shit or a fuck about anything. He's like, behold my field of fucks, it is barren.
There they go.
But that is true what Mick said about that film. And what makes that one so special is that Nightmare on Elm Street 4, basically, all they had were the effect sequences and the sets and designs, because there was a writer's strike going on. Nobody could put their name on the film, so it was basically left up to people like Mick Strawn and Peter Chesney and Rachel Talalay and all the other myriad of effects guys and producers to make this film happen. Otherwise, I don't think it would have had the impact, the look, or the atmosphere that it had. So I give all of them the credit for that, especially Mick. The junkyard, the kaleidoscope room, the list goes on and on. All of the best sequences, in my opinion, Mick was right there at the forefront, including my favorite, which is the fucking truck hitting nothing.
That's my favorite, and in the book I get to tell the story of how that came to be, and how that came out of me being really bored sitting in a meeting and thinking I was going to have to hang myself to get out of the meeting.
A little drastic.
Oh God, you have no idea.
This was before the meetings that could be solved with an email. Yeah, that's what we have nowadays.
No interwebs in '88. No interwebs.
There was you had to do this. I know that you kids aren't going to understand how this works, but what you used to do is you used to go to a place where you would sit around a table, and then you would talk. That's TALK. You would talk to each other across the table, and you would maybe scribble things down, and you had these things called ideas, and you passed these ideas back and forth. It was very archaic. It was it was, and the thing is we thought that we were really advancing, because by the time we did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, stone tablets were done. You didn't have to just sit there and chisel, and that was a bitch. That was when I was younger.
And this is exactly what this book is going to have a lot of. There's a lot of really amazing stories, but there's also a lot of really amazing humor. Despite the circumstances and despite the making of the film and the things that went on, Mick always kept a sense of humor about things, and also he never let the issues on the set keep him from doing his best work. And I think that's another reason why these Dream Masters, as he has so affectionately coined them, are the ones that are really the heroes of the making of the film, because none of that in front of the camera would have happened without the people behind the camera doing what they did.
Well, this is also the feeling that the film had from it's funny because I'm getting to the point to where I've interviewed about 25 people. 25 people, all the way from Bob Shea and Rachel Talalay and Jack Shoulder, all the way down to people who were loading sets around town, carpenters, set dressers, painters, and just so many practical effects people and makeup effects people. In talking to all these people, there was a good awareness of people that were there for any long period of time, knew that this was something special. There was something different. It was. We actually had a pretty decent budget, although we were doing these huge things that were way, way, way bigger than the money that we were trying to spend. But at the same time, it was bigger than any other horror film that had been done or was being done in town. It was non-union, and it was young, and we were trying to knock out these. We were the kids that were knocking out these 50 and 60-year-old men that were tired and set in their ways, and we were going to show them the new way to do it. And funny thing is by the year 2000, we're the old men that are doing things in the old the tried and true ways, and everybody that's coming in is digitally aware and so forth. And so I guess this is time to pass on the baton and tell the old stories. And this is a good one.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with the marriage of digital and practical effects if done in the right way. But this was in a time when digital effects, that was just basically a distant land. I mean, there was a little bit of digital, composing, and then of course there was blue screens and stuff like that. But most of these were mechanical, practical gags.
Digital did not exist. We did have blue screen, but the problem with blue screen is that blue screen at the time was very expensive, and it didn't look very real, and you tried to do everything that you could to go around doing something digital. So you did practical, or not digital, but I mean blue screen. Even in regards to the shot that the shot that is the junkyard shot, where we're looking down at Kincaid and we come up and it becomes a planet. Even that shot by itself, although that was done by an optical house, was not really a true optical. It wasn't a blue screen for sure. They actually used it was actually a miniature and then a foreground miniature. So we were trying to do blue screen as little as possible. And here was a funny thing: is when Freddy is looking, when Freddy squashes the and I didn't remember this until just recently, but when Freddy squashes the Roach Motel and he's looking in at Brooke Thies, that when we're looking at Freddy's eye from inside the hotel, that was actually a rear screen projection.
Yep.
So that was done in real time.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing.
I mean,
I tell you what, that scene brings back so many memories for me, just because it's never been about gore for these movies, but there's scenes that just make you uncomfortable, and that's one of the ones for me.
Well, it is an odd thing that the first two had a particular look, and we were trying to break out of that look on the third one. And my concept was that we would just pull all this onto a stage, so that we could blow the dream scenes out. The first two were basically all done on location. So once we got on the stage, then we could let our imaginations go wild, and we could build some wacky, fun sets. But when we came up tonight, and I had the concept in my head, and what I would say as like what I'm trying to do is more of a carnival with the sets. That was my idea. So the sets were fun. The sets were out there. They were wacky. They were a little bit overboard. But then by the time, and I equated them to a carnival ride that drives into your town, sets up in the Kmart parking lot. So by the time we got to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, my concept had gone a little bit wider, and all I had left to do was to make that the Disneyland. So that was my idea, and it was like Disneyland. It's like when you see these sets, you want to think, oh my God, that is so cool. And even in talking to Robert Englund says that one of his favorite sets of all time is definitely the junkyard.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it was epic.
Yeah, think about it. You're in this area, and it's one of the first. And that's something else that's a distinction about Nightmare 4. It is the first one in the series that picks up directly where this previous film left off, with a majority of the same characters. So the continuing story of the Elm Street kids, of Kristen and Kincaid and Joey, and and all that little storyline. It was one of the first to pick up there. And another thing, the Junkyard first appeared in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and then it makes a reappearance in Nightmare 4, and it's even